Welcome back. This is Newslink right here on eNCA. Let's bring you this story now. Higher Education Minister, that's Blade Nzimande, will pay a visit to Fort Hare University following months of turmoil at the institution. Fort Hare has been plunged into chaos, having to deal with questionable academic fraud, murder, as well as assassination attempts. Now, our reporter Ronald Masinda is tracking the story for us and joins me once again, of course, leading up to that visit by the Minister. Ronald, good to have you back, colleague. Has the Minister arrived? Also at the back of what Andile Mini, of course, the advocate and president of the convocation, and the conversation you had with him on those court, judgments and decisions regarding the Premier Oscar Mabuyane being indicted.
Yes, Tomela, I can confirm that the Minister has arrived with a consultation being held behind closed doors. But what we can expect from this consultation are open, honest and frank discussions as they try to deal with some of the pertinent issues that involves the University of Fort Hare. But let's get more reaction of this particular visit by the Minister. We are joined by the National Tertiary Education Union General Secretary, Grant Abbott. Grant, thank you so much for your time. You were telling me earlier that you had a meeting with the Minister. What was said?
That's correct. Good morning. We met last night with the Minister. It was, as you say, a very frank and open discussion with him. We think it went extremely well. We are hoping for some concrete results out of this, some concrete actions. And what's happening today in terms of the meeting with Council, he'll be taking those matters through to Council. And then I think he's holding a press conference afterwards. So we're optimistic that some actions are now going to come. So we need to get Fort Hare back working again. It is one of our 26 institutions, and it is a key one, and it needs to get back on track in terms of its academic project. So yeah, that's where that meeting went very well.
As a union, you represent the workers of the University of Fort Hare. Yeah. Some of them could be implicated in quite a lot of the issues that are plaguing the university, such as corruption and fraud. What is the extent of the problems?
So, yeah, absolutely. Look, we are 100% against corruption, the maladministration, the financial irregularities that are going on at the institution. And it could be that there are employees within the institution that are implicated. And the law must take its course, and those people must account for what they've done. But we do really think that the law enforcement agencies must be allowed to do their job, to conduct the investigations that they must conduct. And as a union, we are going to comply and cooperate as much as possible with both the Minister's office as well as law enforcement agencies and any agency that is investigating this matter in a proper manner.
As a union, you have also been quite vocal about the recruitment processes that have taken place at the university over the years. What are some of those problems?
Some of those concerns is that they don't necessarily follow recruitment policies and procedures within the institution. You will find that there would be people who are somehow just employed through perhaps a loophole within the policy, short-term contracts. You don't know how they get there and how they got there, but they're there, and then their contracts are just simply extended. There's no proper process in terms of that, and the vetting that goes with an interview process is important.
Have you raised this with the university, though? What have they said?
We've raised it internally with the university. We raised it in our meeting with the Minister as well yesterday in particular. It is unfortunate. In actual fact, right from the beginning, we've been saying that we, as a crucial stakeholder, want to come alongside the Vice-Chancellor. But we've been held at arm's length. In fact, every stakeholder has. And it is clear that it's going to be through the Minister's office and the powers that he has to ultimately bring this institution back into its rightful place within the sector. So yes, we have, at every possible avenue available to us, even to some extent the portfolio committee. So we've written a number of letters, made a few submissions, but most specifically yesterday in our meeting we raised more details in terms of that.
Let's touch on a recent incident where a member of your union was allegedly kidnapped at his home. Yes. What is the status of that? Yes,
the status of that is that the case was open. It was handed over to IPID, Independent Police Investigation Directorate, who are investigating it. There was a period of silence, but a couple of weeks ago they had follow-up meetings with our member who was kidnapped and tortured. But following that, there has not been any further update. Our lawyers have been in constant contact with IPID and the relevant authorities, and we are even considering possible civil action in terms of that matter.
When you refer to IPID, can one insinuate that the police or members of the SAPS were behind this kidnapping?
We certainly have strong suspicion because that's how they identified themselves to him when they picked him up. They identified themselves as members of the SAPS. So IPID, more than insinuate, I would say we can say with a fair degree of certainty that they are members of the police force or members of the state who are involved.
Grant, my last question. In my previous conversation I had with the president of the convocation, I asked him, as a student representative, how is the morale of students at the tertiary institution given what has taken place for a number of years? I'll ask you the same question. How are staff feeling?
Afraid, very afraid. In fact, afraid might be a light word. I think they're feeling traumatized and terrorized, almost in a sense. We were saying this as well in our meeting with the minister yesterday, that there is a culture of fear. But in actual fact, when you speak about a culture of fear, it's often people fearful for their jobs to speak out. Yeah, if people speak out, they can be there's a legitimate fear for their lives. And that puts the thing in a whole different level. Why does a lot of what's happening in Fort Hare not come out? Exactly because of that. When it's your job, it's the one thing. But when it's your life and the life of your family, it's a whole other game. And that's a very sad situation we find ourselves in. So that's the culture and how our members have even said that they're just afraid to do the very simplest things of just representing the union in a simple interview process, for example, because they don't want to be able they don't want to speak out. They're afraid.
Grant, thank you so much indeed for your time. Well, Dumela, as you heard there, that's the sad reality that staff and students are faced with here at the University of Fort Hare. We are hoping to get word from Minister Bladen Nzimande following his consultation. He is expected to brief the media at around 12 o'clock.
We'll await, of course, for that media briefing with you. Colleague, thank you so much for this update. Ronald Masinda out of the University of Fort Hare.